We'll get started in just a second. Alrighty, so my name is Jay Dotson. I want to welcome everybody to my webinar for the Picmonic team. It's called 5 Nursing School Mistakes That You Didn't Know That You Were Making. So this should be pretty cool. So I'll just introduce myself for those of you who don't know who I am. My name is Jay. I am from Memphis, Tennessee. I attend the University of Memphis Lowenberg College of Nursing, and I have been a tutor since my second semester of nursing and all the way up to my 5th semester of nursing. I'll be graduating this semester in May, so yay. And I plan to pursue a career in pediatrics, hopefully critical care. Let's see. So I will go into a little bit of housekeeping before we get started. Thank you. I got it from, the nurse Sam. She has like awesome shirts, so thank you guys. So before we get started, I'll go through a little bit of housekeeping and then go into the content. So we do love questions. I love questions. Picmonic love questions, and I'm pretty sure you do too. There's a little chat widget on the lower right corner where you can leave your questions, and then we'll do like a question and answer session at the very end. So yeah. And speaking of ending, you want to stay till the very end because we'll do like a drawing and somebody will go home. Well, you're already at home, but somebody will leave with the 1-year subscription. That's pretty cool. And if you don't win that, I'll have some pretty cool discounts for all of y'all at the end. So I'll start talking about Picmonic because that's what the question I get all the time. Like, what is Picmonic? And we'll play a few things for you guys like throughout the webinar. But basically, how I discovered Picmonic, I was like a baby nurse. Well, I still consider myself a baby nurse, so I'll say like an infant nurse. I was so intimidated by pharmacology. I remember not doing too well on my first exam. It was the scariest thing to me. And I was like looking for other methods to study. I think I discovered Picmonic on like another nursing platform. And eventually, like, I signed up, registered for it. And I thought it was like pretty cool because I'm a visual learner. I like to draw, I like to color, but I still didn't understand how to make like study content and all of that stuff for pharmacology. So eventually, like, I showed all of my friends and we kind of made like a group account and we signed up for it. And I ended up doing like really well on my last pharmacology exam. That was the highest score that I had in that entire class. So I thought that that was awesome. And I thought it was a pretty cool study aid to use, especially if you're a visual learner like me. Um, let's see. So I use Picmonic now in different ways. So first off, I use it like if you have a book, you can search it like in a search bar, and after you search it, like any book that your professor will have, it will pop up to it. So like for instance, I use like the Saunders NCLEX book. For those of you who follow me, you know that that's a holy grail for me. So I can open it up and I can see all of the content listed in that book and like have extra questions and all that good stuff to relate to that. So like if you have your med surg book, your foundations book, just any of those books, you can actually search it in the Picmonic search bar and it'll pop up for you. It's pretty cool. So I've been using that for, actually use that same method for complex. I use that for pediatrics. I use that for OB, and I used it a little bit for Gero, like for the drugs mainly. But yes, that is really awesome. So I just use that for like random content, like I need to go over, like we've been doing like skincare, wound care, all of that stuff, sometimes to like refresh my memory on things. So yeah, I still use it. So keep leaving your questions in the question box. And again, we'll answer it at the very end, but I'm gonna go ahead and get into the content that you came here for. So the 5 nursing school mistakes that you are making and you didn't know that you were making. So number one for me is the study plan. A lot of y'all do not have a study plan, and that is the biggest mistake that you can make as a nursing student. I think nothing is more scary than coming into like an exam and not really having a plan and realizing like a week before the exam that you have an exam in a couple of days and you don't really have like a good foundation for it. So the second question would be, oh, well, how can I create a study plan? My rule of thumb is most exams are like, you have like 4 weeks to study. So say if you have 4 weeks to study for this exam, the first 3 weeks, you need to be studying at least 12 to 15 hours a week, like tops. Nothing less than that. Nothing less than 12 hours. And once you get to the end of that week, like the end of the 3rd week, going into the 4th week, you should have your entire study guide completed. You should have all of your study material together, and you should have like all of your questions written down. Just whatever material you need, you should have it together. Even if you have to get ahead just a little bit, I will go ahead and do it because it will pay off. So creating a study plan catered to you, it will be like different just because like some courses don't require that much time, but that is extremely important to be successful on your exams. Keep it simple. Make sure you know the content that you have, and then um, make sure you have all of that material organized. So number 2 is to prep before your lecture. I know a lot of students, they really hate it. They hate to read before their read before their lectures. They hate to prep for class, but to me, I think that that's one of the most important things that you can do is to come to class prepared. So when you come to class prepared, it gives you like the opportunity to ask your professor questions. And sometimes to me, it helps because, okay, number two was to prep before lecture. Okay. Yeah. I'm sorry, guys. I was reading some things on the chat box. Yeah. So number 2 was just to prep before lecture. That's what I'm talking about now. So make sure you prepare for lecture. That's key. The rule of thumb is to prepare for lecture and then come to lecture with your questions. So I will get like the little tiny sticky notes and I'll write out the questions that I have and then come to lecture with those questions. And to me, it's helpful because you can ask your professor questions that you had, that they can pretty much tell you, like, okay, well, no, this is not the right way to study for that, or yes, this is the right way. They'll kind of steer you in the right direction. So always come prepared. I know it's unrealistic to read before and after class, but if you read before class, you'll have an idea of what's going on and then kind of skim after class. And then another reason to come prepared is that you'll learn like more information about whatever you went over. Um, and then also, I think it saves you time because you'll sit in a lecture for about 3 hours anyway. And if you have no idea of what's going on, you can you'll kind of be lost, and that's a waste of time, like a waste of 3 hours. So make sure you come to class prepared. And I like to use like a different color to write what my professor is saying versus what I've said already or what I've read already from the book, and kind of like color code it, and it'll help you like guide your studies. After I complete that, I like to quiz myself. I always use Picmonic to quiz myself on like any material that I went over in lecture. and then combine all of that together. So like you could use your quizzes as like a mini review after lecture, because I know like it's merely impossible to read after class. So number 3 is space repetition. Um, put in the chat box if you ever heard of space repetition, or if you haven't heard of it, or what you know about it. So first things first, like the first question I get is, what is space repetition? A lot of my classmates, they would ask me, oh, how are you studying, blah blah blah, and I'll tell them space repetition, and they're like, what is that? Like, did you make that up? I'm like, no. So I was kind of researching different ways to like improve my study habits during my 4th semester. And I discovered space repetition, and it's basically what's in the name. It's like you kind of space out your studies and repeat the same things over and over again, and you slowly add to them. And then eventually, like, you'll memorize it, you'll know it. And I know, like, they say not to memorize things in nursing school, but to a certain degree, you have to memorize things. And so the more you remember, like you will recognize certain things on your exams, like whether it's in the question or in the answers. And once you recognize it, you can easily point it out and you know it because you've seen it so much. So um, again, it's basically what it looks like. It increases your like memorization for the material. Therefore, it increases your exam scores. So I used to type out my own questions. Please don't do this. Please do not do this. Especially if you're like me, I would literally break down every single thing. So what I started using is Picmonic. They give you questions, and so they're skilled at writing like questions on the need to know, the instead of like, you know, what's nice to know. And I focus on what's nice to know and what's like what you need to know, but that's, you don't have time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. So again, I use Picmonic to like kind of set like daily quizzes. That's how they use space repetition. It's called their daily quizzes. So you'll get a set of questions for like whatever content you're going over, and then after you go over it, you'll see it over and over and over again. And so you can set it to where like you have reminders every day, or sometimes they will have like the questions that you missed, and you can go back and look at those. But again, if you're using it every single day, it's constantly reminding you of what you missed or what you needed to focus on, and it'll just be specific to that content that you're going over. So if you are a member of Picmonic, or you plan on signing up today, I would definitely use that, take advantage of it, because I'm telling you, I literally made straight A's for my critical care course, and I used it for pediatrics as well, and I did really good on my exams just because of space repetition. um, so again, do that every single day. Make sure you're looking at that material every day and you're building on top of it. So the 4th thing that you are doing that's like a mistake in nursing school is not having a pre-exam ritual. And I know it sounds a little dramatic, and I'm really guilty of this because, like, my friends know that I pretty much suck at self care when it comes to nursing school. But when it comes to pre exam day and exam day, like, I'm on it. And so I feel like your pre exam day ritual is really important, just as important as your exam day. So I'll talk to you on how to set up a ritual for that. So first things first, you need to have like at least 5 hours set out to review your material. I will not like recommend you reviewing material all day, especially the day before the exam, because I'm one of those people, like, if you got it, you got it at this point. So if you're going to study for another class, do that first. I know that it's kind of like unrealistic for you to study an entire day for one course. So I would not recommend you doing that, because the next week you will have another exam in another class. So I would study, like, say if I have a pediatrics exam tomorrow and then I have a complex exam the following week, I would study for the complex exam for a couple of hours, and then the rest of my study time that I have, I would dedicate 5 hours to the exam that I have tomorrow. So after that, you need to wrap it up or try to wrap it up about 7 o'clock to 8:30. No later than that. Don't be up all night studying for the exam. It's not going to stick. It's not a good idea. If you like, say if you don't have the material down in a certain section, I honestly would not spend time like trying to learn new material because it's kind of too late. I would try to like strengthen that material that you already know. So that day I would be focusing on like NCLEX questions. I'll be using my Picmonic. I'll be like reading like over the material that I already had, like trying to research more into it, but nothing new at this point. Again, try to get to bed before 8 o'clock, 7:30, and I'll tell you why in just a little bit. So make sure you perform your nighttime routine. If you don't have one, at least make one. That way, like, and make it special too. Make it very special. Like mine, I would include like the little shower physics, or sometimes I'll play like my nice music. I'll do yoga the night before. I'll even like candles, like I'm extra. Like I'll have like the fake plants like all around my little dorm just to make it like just nice and soothing. Like you want to be calm the night before. I'm not like a TV person, but I'll even like watch my own like favorite like shows on Hulu or something, stream it from my phone. It's a pretty big deal to make sure you have a pre-exam day ritual. So whatever you do, put on your face mask, make sure you're looking good the night before your exam, just like whatever. So here's the reason why you should make sure you're getting in bed before 9 o'clock. And that is so you can get some quality rest and you can get up early. I know it sounds like insane, but I'm telling you, like, get up. If you go to bed early, you wake up early. So I will be the one that goes to bed before 9 o'clock and I'm up at 5 o'clock in the morning. So that gives you like 2 hours or 1 hour to like go over that material one last time. And I'm telling you, like, it works. Like that method really works. You can like some things like you kind of miss over, or it just be like the little small things and you see it one last time, and I promise you, like, it never fails. It's always on my exam. So you want to get up early so that way you can have time to kind of process the fact that you have an exam. I mean, I don't know if any of you guys are pre-nursing students, but you know how nursing school is, you know how nursing exams are. It's like a whole nother ball game that you just don't want to play with. So you got to get ready for it. Take a walk, meditate, just whatever you have to do, and you have time for that versus like going to bed late and now your exam is at 8 o'clock in the morning. You're trying to get up, you're trying to rush and get ready. You don't have time to eat a quality breakfast. Like, don't do that, y'all. Just don't do that. You're setting yourself up for failure. Now you're nervous because you haven't even had time to relax. So get that routine down. Make sure you get that down. Um, and the fifth mistake that you are making as a nursing student, here we go, drum roll. It's when you go in there to take your exam. And it's so sad to me. It's like a lot of times people could study, they could study their butts off, but they don't know how to take exams. Again, nursing school is a whole nother ball game. Like the questions are written differently. Like it's just different. Like it's weird compared to all of our other friends with different majors. It's weird. So I'm gonna show you how. Well, I'll tell you what I do during my exams to make sure I'm successful. So, how many of y'all take exams on computers and it's timed? I think most people have those, but I've heard different people having like exams that are like written or whatever, but ours is timed and it's like on a computer. So if it's like that, then make sure you're taking a second, like even once the professor says start the exam, and usually everybody starts at the same time, make sure you take a second to breathe. I usually take about 10, 15 seconds to breathe before I even start. Like I'll hear other people clicking and I always like tell myself I got it. Give yourself like some nice affirmation, just whatever you have to do. So take your time on the questions. Sometimes we miss questions because we don't read them right. And ask yourself, what is this question asking me? What do this question want from me? So once you do that, you can know, like you can kind of guide yourself with the question, because sometimes like answers will be thrown in there to kind of trick you up, but always break that question down and say, what does this question want from me? I know it sounds weird, but it's in your head, so nobody can hear you acting weird. So just be like, what does this question want from me? Always ask yourself that. Know where you are in the nursing process. I can't stress that enough. Always make sure you know where you are. So if the question has an assessment there already, a good assessment, make sure you go to planning. If you have already assessed and planned, implement. What do you need to implement? Um, Add pie. Okay, no, planning, yeah, implement, and then evaluate. Okay, so I forgot the diagnose. So make sure you're following the add pie process. Always go to the next one. If it's already been assessed, ask yourself, is it a detailed assessment? If it's not a detailed assessment, then you need to make sure you get a detailed assessment. So that is like a key thing, especially if you have like random tests like a hesi, of course the NCLEX, or even your nursing exams. Always know where you are. They expect you to like use that foundational nursing skill all the way up until you graduate. Um, Cover your answers on select all that apply. So I know that a lot of us hate select all that apply. I dread them, but I've learned how to master those questions finally. I used to just like count. If we had 50 questions and they said we had 5 select all that apply, I was just like, well, I missed those 5. Not anymore. Not anymore. Because I cover those answers up and I ask myself, true or false? Is this correct or not correct? And once you do that, you can kind of do like a process of elimination, and that helps me tremendously. And another thing is to cover, not to cover your answers, but to take a mental break. Not a long break, because most of our exams are timed, and I'm gonna probably put like a disclaimer at the bottom of this little widget to make sure like y'all don't fault me for it, but make sure you are taking like a mental break somewhere in between your exam. Like if I have 50 questions, when I get to 25, I'll take like a mental break for about like 15 minutes. I mean, not 15 minutes, 15 seconds. Don't do 15 minutes, please don't. I'll do 15 seconds and I'll kind of like reaffirm that I got this. Like, okay, I'm halfway through the exam. Let me get through the rest. Cause I kind of get like exam fatigue. Like, after like a certain amount of questions, I just get tired. Like, I think it should be illegal for us to have that many questions at once, because I don't like that. And I don't know about y'all, but I just do not like that. But yeah, reaffirm that you got it, because you do. Also trust your judgment. It is extremely important to trust your judgment as a nursing student, because you're going to be a nurse one day. So learn to trust your judgment. Never change your answers. Like, never change them. I know that y'all get sick of hearing that. Professors will tell you, like, my professor would always tell us that she would put a rubber band on our hands. And, like, if you even think about, like, trying to change it, like, just she's gonna pull it up and pop. But yeah, like, don't change your answers, because I don't know, it's maybe some science or something behind it, but like when you first think about this answer choice, it's a reason why you chose that answer. I don't know why, but it's a reason why. So always trust your judgment. Okay. So those are the 5 nursing school mistakes that you are making. And I hope that this really helped you guys. So now we're going to do the question and answers. And then we can move on to the winner. So already answered that. I got my shirt from the Nurse Sam. If y'all can see this, she actually has a website where you can buy it. She's really awesome. You can find her on Instagram. Where can you find gerontology on Picmonic? So what I did is like our professor required us to have like like no certain drugs. And so I would just use that for the drugs. I think like elderly patients, it kind of like intertwine with like a lot of things. So I never researched the book just because we didn't have a book for, I mean, we didn't have to use the book for Gero, but you may want to try searching the book in the search bar and it may pop up. Um, where can we follow you? I can leave it in the chat box. My Insta is xoxo.jer, and I usually like post a lot of study things. Like a lot of my followers think I'm pretty insane because they think that I'm up all night studying, but I promise you I'm not. I just study like not too long. Let's see. I'm not sure what the used book is, but again, you can try to like research that book in there. And I'm telling you, they have like all the books. Like they had every book that I used in nursing school, from OB to med surge to critical care. Sometimes I would even look in books that wasn't required. I don't know if that's kind of nerdy or what, but it's pretty cool. Um, oh my gosh. Someone said they have an exam every week in an 18-month program. Kudos to you because I could not do it, but you got it. You got it. Um, let's see. Everybody said they prep before lecture. That's awesome. We talked about spaced repetition. If that's one thing that I would love for you guys to take from this webinar, it would be the spaced repetition. I'm telling you, it pays off. It does. Um, yes, a set number of questions each day. They will, Picmonic usually have like 10 questions after you finish like watching the video, but you can set how many questions you want. Like the most I usually set it for is like about 25 because again, I get test like exam fatigue. Like I don't like too many questions at once, but you can set it to the amount that you would like it to be set to. Yes, spaced repetition is the same thing as active recall. Let's see. I'm not studying to be a NICU nurse. I used to want to be a NICU nurse a long time ago, and then labor and delivery kind of like creeped me out. I was just like, I want to see them like when they're kind of like outside of the womb and less like slimy. If that makes sense. Like I just like no. I like pediatrics. That's my goal. Yes, there is a skills section for IV skills. There is a skills section for like I was just watching a Picmonic on trach care. There's stuff for chest tubes, just about anything. You can get Picmonics for dosage cow, just about all of that stuff. Let's see. What if you don't have that kind of time to study? Accelerated program. Um, I see, I'm not in an accelerated program, but again, I would probably make a study plan and see how much time you have to actually put into it. Um, try at least, if you don't have like the 15 hours a week, that's just a rule of thumb. And I only use that for, say we have 4 courses during the semester, I would only use that for two, like my two most challenging courses. I would not put in 15 hours for every single course because some courses are not necessary for that amount of time. Someone said they had a diffuser next to them with lavender smell. That is awesome. I love lavender, but it'll put me to sleep. That is just awesome though. Let's see. Yes, the Picmonic will help you with NCLEX. That is what I'm using right now to study for NCLEX, along with the Saunders book. I use them both, but sometimes I just get so tired of reading like out of books and I just use my phone. I download the Picmonic app and I just like set a certain amount of questions every day to use. And you can it's pretty cool, y'all. Like I don't know about y'all, but I like to win on some things, and Picmonic makes you feel pretty good. You know, sometimes people walk around making you feel bad. Picmonic doesn't do that. Like you can win little mobile like trophies, digital trophies or whatever, and it really makes you feel good. And you can kind of compete with other people online and see um what where you are. Like sometimes you can be like the winner. They'll have like first place, second place, third place, and stuff like that. So it kind of boosts your esteem, like with from not missing questions or whatnot. It's pretty cool. Let's see. Someone said they can't go back to the previous question. Oh yeah, like I really hate that for exams, but it's also pretty cool because we can't do it on NCLEX, so it kind of gets us like in that NCLEX mindset. We did not do well. But this girl, okay, there was a girl who was studying for 3 weeks, and there was a girl who woke up at 5:30 a.m. And the girl who woke up at 5:30 a.m. did not do well, but the girl who has been studying for 3 weeks passed the test. Yeah, oh my gosh, that's awful. Um, yeah, that's awful. I did both. I would wake up early, only on exam days though, but I would study for like those 3 weeks. That if yeah, you need a good amount of time to study for those exams. Um, let's see. So for me, I'd study ahead. What is a hesi and an ATI? So hesi and ATI, they're kind of like ways to prep you for NCLEX. There are other like they're standard exams that some schools use. Like our school uses the hesi. I've never really used ATI, so I can't really talk much about it. But hesi is like a standard exam that some schools will give like proctor their students with. Um, let's see. Yes, select all that applies can be really hard. Thank you guys. Let's see. Okay, I'm just scrolling through. Yes, it's really helpful for med surge, and I pretty much use that same method to prep for med surge. And I would also like recommend you guys to write out what is it, the flow charts and stuff like that for med surge to kind of because they test you on like the big picture. So if you can do like a flow chart and then you have like something for the form for that particular disease process, the patho, the nursing interventions, all that stuff, just put it all on one big picture. It will really help. So I would always create like flow charts for those little diagrams, and you can make it pretty cute and make it fun for med surge. Yes, they do update the Picmonic questions for the person who asked. Okay. So now we can, I think I got pretty much everybody for the most. And if I didn't answer your question, just email me. I mean, just message me on Insta. That's fine with me. And so now we can announce our winner. The recording will be available on YouTube a little bit after this, but our winner is Brittany Jones. And Brittany, you will get your subscription sent to your email. Also, for those of you who did sign up, we will have a 30% off subscription for all of y'all when you sign up within the next 24 hours. And I hope this really helped y'all. It helped me to kind of help y'all go over this stuff and kind of remind myself about it. So, yeah, you get 30% off if you sign up within the next 24 hours. So, you can't beat that. And congratulations, Brittany.